Hello friends. This week I'm doing like a casual vlog kind of situation because I have not been writing like almost this whole year. Once I finished The Broken Queen, I just seemed to really struggle to get any writing done at all. I was focusing so much on the YouTube channel, and also we had a lot of eBay, which, by the way, this is my writing nook currently because my partner went through all of his models in the basement and purged like 200 models or something. You know, he's been collecting models since he was a kid, and this is the biggest purge I've ever seen him do. And we had a sale where his friends in the model club came over and bought some, but you know, they didn't buy 200 of them. I worked really hard on YouTube last week so that I would be ahead of the game. I don't like the lighting in this room at all, but I'll actually probably move to my usual nook once I've finished making lunch. It's supposed to be really hot for the next few days, so I can only write in my room until the sun starts coming in the afternoon, and then I have to retreat to a cooler part of the house because my room does not have air conditioning and the sun really blasts in the afternoon. But I'm making lunch. I'm gonna go write in my cozy chair, and my plan for the week is just to write and not get distracted by anything else. There are so many things that could distract me, but I'm gonna focus mostly on writing. Obviously, I will need some breaks, but my breaks are only gonna be things that support the writing. Reading and exercise. I'm hoping that maybe if I just set aside 1 week for writing per month and just like really attack it, maybe that will be a better way to get writing done than to try to like piecemeal it around other things, because even when writing is one of my core jobs, it can be really hard to fit around the rest of life. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you know this because many of you are trying to fit your writing around full-time jobs, raising kids, and just all the other stuff that life throws at you. I too struggle with these things to this day. As far as what I'm working on, what I should be working on is the sequel to The Broken Queen. You know, I gotta stir my food, so walk with me into my somewhat chaotic kitchen. I know that's what I should be working on, but I am so tempted to work on like 4 different other projects. And a part of me just kind of wants to go wild, and you know, like if I'm already having trouble, sorry for all the sizzling noises, if I'm already having trouble working, maybe I should just work on whatever the heck I want to work on. But I'm still going to try to prioritize the Broken Queen sequel so I can get some chapters up on Patreon and, you know, just get it done. So I'm going to eat lunch. Then I'm going to plan to hop in a cold shower really quickly because I've been kind of into this quick cold shower thing to give me energy, and it seems to be working pretty well. And then I'm going to work. This is my lunch. It is leftover chicken kapama, which is a very easy and very delicious Greek dish. Oh, hello, baby. It is now later in the afternoon, and it's getting that time of day where the sun is blasting into my bedroom, and I might not really be able to stay in here and work anymore. And while I was in the shower, because I always get ideas in the shower, it suddenly clicked to me about the love interest in the rewrite of Parsons' story. Parsons appears in the Cursed Soul trilogy, specifically the Sorcerer's Wife, and she's a rather prickly girl, and I wrote her entire story in The Vampire's Doll, but then I ended up realizing that I didn't like the direction of the book, and I don't want the story to involve our world very much, so I wanted to rewrite it. And I couldn't quite think how I would change it while preserving the things I liked about it, and suddenly I had an idea about who this guy would be. He is a bastard prince from the southern continent, and there is a drought in the southern continent which has forced the people there to accept some aid from Lord Jaren and the 4 generals. All the generals are trying to find a secret toward immortality or a longer life. But the Peacock General, the thread he's following is whether absorbing animal spirits into your body could extend your life, I think I've talked about this before, but it's kind of like the Silicon Valley millionaires who are like taking blood transfusions from younger people. He's thinking like if we could absorb an animal spirit, a young, vibrant animal spirit, maybe we would live longer. And there's some evidence that that might be true. So he's been trying to bring in people who understand how to make this magic work. But it's very difficult magic. It's very hard to tame the animal spirits once you've absorbed them into yourself. So this bastard prince has an animal spirit in him as per royal tradition, but he's been having some trouble with taming it. So I've been working on that this afternoon, and a part of me is definitely thinking you need to work on the Broken Queen sequel. But logically, the one thing about this is that it's just reworking a book that's already complete and polished. There's a decent amount of rewriting that will need to be done, but definitely not like writing a whole new book, especially a really long book. Like, if I really buckled down, I could probably do this rewrite in like 2 weeks. Editing Lydia here. So much wishful thinking in this dialogue. I kind of got like half the idea in the shower, and I started working on it a little bit, and then after I had lunch, I asked Dade if he could help me figure out the rest, which he did. So now we've got it all down. This is my very rough preliminary sketch of like kind of the fashion of this prince, which is a mix of like the Calsonian nobles and the tribe that his mother comes from. Somehow it ended up with kind of a Scottish vibe, which I was not initially thinking whatsoever, but I kind of like it. I decided they're going to be hat people, so he's got like a little hat with kind of like a cockade that has his colors. And then I was thinking more like of like an Asian style with the outfit, but it did kind of give off like a kilt thing here as well. This is not like him though. This is just a fashion sketch. I still don't know like what his face or what really the facial features of these people will be like. I'm struggling with that because I kind of feel like I always draw the same face. I want everybody to look different, but then when I draw them, I'm like, nope, same face. There's a baby. I need this chair. Hey guys, so it is now day 3 of my writing week, and yesterday I didn't end up filming. It was a little bit of a hectic day because my partner's cousin was in town and we all went to my parents' house and had some food, and you know, I spent some time getting ready for that. I had to go to the grocery store. I did get some writing done though. In the early part of the day, I was working on the Parsons story, and I really got it to a place where like it's starting to flow in its new version. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Like I might actually be able to get this book revised quickly. So I'm gonna get back to work on that. Got my kombucha. I have to move this beautiful cat, and then I'm gonna work the afternoon away, see how far I can get. It's another really hot day, but we're supposed to get some rain later, and it's also supposed to cool off later in the week, which I cannot wait for it to cool off. It is now day 5 of my writing week. I didn't vlog yesterday because it was just so hot in the house that I was not wearing enough clothes to vlog my day. I mean, technically everything was covered, but you know what? I have my limits. But today it has finally cooled off and I am so relieved. This whole week is supposed to be like rainy and cool, and that is my kind of writing weather. Unfortunately, I really only have 2 days left of my writing week because Saturday we have some stuff going on. So it's like 9:30 and I'm making myself a little bit of a fancy breakfast. We went to the grocery store and I got myself a couple of like little treat items. I got some waffles and some organic blackberries. Both of these were on sale, and I'm gonna make myself like a couple of waffles with butter, maple syrup, and blackberries. That's rather a decadent breakfast. I also really need a shower. Last night was so hot. I woke up so sweaty. I'm just like, bleh. So I'm looking forward to getting a shower and putting on something a little cuter. Yesterday I worked on the sequel to The Broken Queen. It's kind of a difficult scene that I'm working on right now. Probably one of the more traumatic parts of the book, although I tried to strike a balance between not getting into detail. I don't really want to dwell on the darker aspects of the story too much, but at the same time I do want to be realistic. Now that the characters are past that, they're going to be dealing with the emotional fallout for a while. Let's make some fuel for the day. Gosh, these blackberries are massive. All right, there we go. It's a nice little breakfast. It is now day 6 of my writing week, and as you can maybe see, I am still wearing the same grungy, sweaty clothes, and I never did take the shower. This is reality, people. This is not a glamorous, Instagram-worthy vlog, to say the least. So what happened yesterday is that I thought, okay, well, before I take a shower and all that, I'm gonna get like 1,000 words done. That way the shower will be like a good break. And if I'm a little stuck, you know, that's always good for breaking up the block. And then what happened is that I got into the zone, which if you are a creative person who has ever been in the zone, and I'm sure a lot of you have, at least for me, the zone is just, it is a total high. I just completely lose myself in the characters and forget everything else. I forget to eat. I don't get sleepy. I'm just, you know, I'm there. So it's a really magical, wonderful feeling. And if I am in the zone, nothing will interrupt the zone except, you know, like eventually I did have to make lunch. And I stayed in the zone all day, pretty much until I finally had to go to sleep. My eyeballs felt pretty fried after a day of writing, like all day. I got about 4,000 words written, which is not actually a great total for being in the zone all day. I've noticed that my writing is just not very fast lately. I don't know if it's because I'm kind of out of practice after taking 2 years off, or if I'm just thinking more deeply about these stories because they are like my world. So it's possible that maybe I just can't write as fast when it comes to these types of stories. But that was really exciting. I'm hoping that I can stay in the zone today, and then tomorrow is my last writing day, but it's kind of like not really because I have to edit the video for Sunday. I have to tidy up the house a little bit, and we also have some people coming over in the afternoon. So, and I better take a shower. So it's kind of like not really a writing day. I'm hoping maybe I can get in a little bit of time. The one thing about the zone is that it's extremely draining. Like it feels really good, but it is also kind of like an actual drug in that you don't really want to stay in that high for a really long time because you will, like, your world will crumble around you. Everything gets very dirty. I wasn't exercising like I should be. It's just kind of hard to take care of the needs of the rest of your life when you're in the zone. So the best thing that can happen is that you get in the zone and get a lot done for like a couple days. And then you kind of pull out of it and, you know, clean up the mess. Okay, I'm back. I had to make another blackberry waffle so I could use up the blackberries before they got moldy or something, because right now they are so pretty. Anyway, so the book that ended up breaking my, well, I don't want to call it a block because I have been writing. I've been working on like too many things, but I got back to the Una and Vari book, which doesn't have a title yet. And I'd written like 20,000 words on this book and it just wasn't feeling right, and I was a little stuck on it. but this week I started to get back to it and suddenly it just was working. So what that tells me is that it does actually benefit me to bounce around between projects, because sometimes taking a break from one and then working on another one instead helps to break up a block that was on a different book. And it's quite possible that I could get stuck on the Una and Vari book again and be in the same situation and then have to go back and work on a different book. But it would be awesome if I was just able to write it and release it and then focus a little more on the Broken Queen sequel after that. You know, they have a very different tone. The Una Vari book has a lot of like little bits of humor. Like Una and Vari are both constantly comparing their lives to books that they have read. And they're always something that sounds like some, you know, gothic novel. It's a lot of fun coming up with these little tidbits of the books they've read and what kind of crazy things happened in them. I'm also having a lot of fun with Tehran, the swamp sorcerer of the story, who is a character that I just sort of threw in thinking that he would be more of a bit part, but he's actually pretty fun to write, and him and Vari have a pretty good rapport, so he's getting a little more involved in the story, and I'm just generally having a blast with it right now. So my plan for today is to keep working on that like all day, take a break, and make some stew, and it would be great if I could hit the 30,000 word mark. Then tomorrow, you know, maybe I'll squeeze a little more in before I have to get back to some serious YouTubing. As far as vlogging, one of the things I really wanted to do this year is try to do like one vlog that covers like a week or a month of my life every month. And that's what this video is, and I'm going to give myself like a C- on vlogging. I was not very good at remembering to capture little bits of my life and record throughout the day. I was just talking to my sister about what a real skill it is to be a good vlogger. Like, not only do you have to just kind of stay on the ball to take quick snippets of your life, but you also end up with these takes where you're like, oh my God, I look terrible. Something's super awkward about this clip, or I don't like the way I worded this. But I figure that it's a skill like anything else, and the only way to get better at it is to do it and just kind of, you know, cringe your way through it. So if you want to learn a new skill, you know, sometimes that's what you have to do. Also, I'm sorry that this camera angle is super awkward and a little shaky. I usually film on the chair with more of a steady camera on the tripod, but the kitties are in the chair looking super adorable and I don't want to move them, so I'm just holding the camera and sitting in my bed. I'm gonna eat my waffle and read a little bit more of the latest Emily Wilde book, and then I'm gonna work. Okay, it is day 7. I've reached the end of my writing weekend, which is a little sad. It has been really nice to just devote a week to writing. And as I suspected, I will be shocked if I get any writing done today. So I'm going to summarize the week. I got 2,500 words plus some editing done on reworking the Parsons book. I got almost 3,000 words on the Broken Queen sequel, and I got 11,000 words on the Una and Vari book. In total, this week I wrote a little over 17,000 words. My hope was that I would get 25,000 words done, but I knew that that was a little ambitious. I was hoping that if I aimed for 25,000, I would at least make 20, but then some of it ended up being editing. So if I hadn't spent time editing, I probably would have gotten to 20,000. My approach was obviously pretty scattershot, not strategic in the indie marketplace. And that is a little hard for me to cope with. Part of me really is like, you gotta focus on one thing. You gotta work on the Broken Queen sequel, or at least the Unavari book. You've just gotta focus on one thing that makes sense rather than working on several different projects at once. But another part of me really wants to honor my own process, because if YouTube is now the focus of my main job, I'm still making like a solid income based on my back catalog. Like in theory, all the work I've put in the past should allow me to work in a way that feels more natural to me. It's just really hard to let go of those old habits and like scarcity mindset. So that's something I'm going to keep working on. Ultimately, I should be able to write more in the long run if I'm honoring my process, and while there might be an initial delay while I'm working on several different things at once, at some point, right, I should finish like 3 books at once or something. One thing that I really liked was this schedule of like working hard on YouTube for a week, getting a week ahead, and then taking a week off just to focus on writing. I always work so much better when I'm really focused on one thing and I don't get pulled into many different tasks. I am missing the Magic Mind sponsorship because that helped me switch focus considerably, and I keep kind of thinking about buying some more. I have to figure out my work plans in a way that makes the most sense for my brain, if possible. So I'm kind of thinking I might do that same thing again, and this upcoming week my plan is to work really hard on YouTube again, get 2 weeks ahead, and then take a week off and not pressure myself to do anything. Rather than taking off weekends as you would in a standard 9-to-5 job, which I don't know how many millennials really relax over the weekend, but I'm just gonna take like 1 week out of every 4 weeks, at least this month, to be my weekend, my month end, I guess. And the Olympics are coming up this weekend, and I'm kind of a nerd about the Olympics. I don't watch any other sports at any other time. I don't even know how a lot of sports are played. But when the Olympics rolls around, suddenly I am totally into sports for that couple week period. I think it's something about the whole world coming together and getting to see all the different countries and all the different sports. And I always kind of relate to the athletes that they've spent so much time preparing for this moment, and they're like the best in their field and their country, but only a couple of them are going to be like the shining stars that get all the attention. And the rest of them are basically going to be the mid-listers of sports who have put a ton of work into it, but are not going to get all the glory, the gold medals, the endorsements, etc. My heart goes out to every person who finishes like 8th place, because I feel like I relate to them heartily. But I also find it kind of comforting because as a writer, my career is going to be a lot longer than an athlete who puts their entire life into mastering this sport when they're young, and usually by the age of 30 at best in most sports, they're either out of it entirely or they're no longer able to compete at the highest echelons anymore. So anyway, I really enjoy the Olympics, and I'm hoping that I can get all my work done this week and just like sit back on a hot summer day and watch the Olympics. It was fun blogging my week, and I'm gonna try to keep doing one of these every month. Just kind of a nice little hangout video. And you know, what are you up to this week? Feel free to chit chat. Have you read anything good? And I will see you in the next video. Bye.